So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. In the last episode there were a lot of events that happened all over the world, but I would like to welcome every single person watching this video to the last episode of the Cold War. Yes, the Cold War is ending today officially, and you'll see how it ends in, well, a few minutes. But anyway, before the end of this Cold War, we've got to look at a few other events that are happening around the world just before, well, the end. Now this is actually going to have a pretty big concentration down in south, so the southern region of Africa. There's quite a lot of events that will be happening here today, as the Tanzanian country, who has been on a roll recently, is going to invade into this late Victoria country, or you could just call this Victoria. They'll invade into the Victorian country, and it's quite a squash. I mean, I don't think they'd stand much of a chance against these guys who have definitely made a lot bigger of a country throughout the last few episodes. First they obviously invaded Madagascar, then they invaded the old purple country which was here, and now they're doing more things which is, well, not very good, as the capital of this country will be captured, as well as a spearhead going up to the final major city, which will warrant a complete collapse in this country. And we'll take a look at a peace treaty now. So peace treaty is quite simple. They're just annexed into this country's the nation, and now they're a lot stronger as they have a lot better access to this lake here. Don't even know if they had access before, but they are quickly becoming a powerhouse in Africa. They are, I would say, like the 5th strongest country in Africa at the minute, maybe the 6th, but they're definitely moving up the African rankings. Anyway, let's look down in Asia next, as we're actually going to be seeing a union taking place between this Sumatran Indonesian country and Java. And it's quite simple. I mean, there's nothing to say. The Javan country joins up with the Sumatran country, which you could just call Indonesia at this point, and it's not really for any reason. It's just they are very similar ethnicity, and a lot of the population wanted to join up with this country, so they did. And yeah, Indonesia has officially been formed. The leader of this country will proclaim the Republic of Indonesia. So that's pretty hype, you know. An Indonesian country has finally been in the works, so which, I mean, it's been a lot, but it's not like they were actually country. Oh, it's not like they've been one country. They officially are now, though. Anyway, now actually come to South America, we're going to see a pretty large union being formed. Now these two countries down here in Argentina, they were both part of World War II, and they both contributed and actually did quite a lot in World War II. I believe this red country managed to liberate the Brazilian colony, but they will officially this day be uniting. They were both obviously colonized by the French, so that's always good, but yeah, they'll officially be uniting as Uruguay and the Patagonian country will, as I said, unite. And I think I like this kind of blue colour here. There's a lot of, I mean, there's not really that many dark countries. Brazil is the only dark country in South America, however they own pretty much all of South America, so it's not like it's anything different. These guys will both be getting rid of their old capital, and they'll be choosing a new one, which it will be in this one right down here. So we have the Argentinian Union being formed, and it's not like the Canadian Union where they're going to like slowly suck up all of South America. These are just two countries coming together because it's for the benefit of both of them, and they really just want to do it. They are also, or at least both of them were in the economic alliance with the Chilean country. They still are, however, it'll just simply be them and the Chilean country now. It won't be a 3 system, but I mean, they do still have like semi-autonomy with each other. Similar to how the Canadian Union does it, who does it very similar to how the US in real life does it, where they're kind of like different states just chopped up into different pieces. They all have their own government and stuff, but the main government rules over it all and makes the big decisions. It's very similar down here. But anyway, after the kind of short break, we're going to come back to Southern Africa, as the South African country is going to be invading this blue team. This is a very quick and swift military invasion, but it'll go very good for the South Africans, as they'll be able to fully take over all of this country, and they'll be fully annexed. This land actually wasn't colonised by the British Union. This was Japanese land, so the British Union isn't really like, the people who live in here aren't really the same, but they kind of are in a way, because there are the indigenous population, obviously, which they make up a small population from this country. But yeah, the South Africa just grows bigger, but they're going to be doing something else as well, and that is creating their own alliance/pact kind of thing. As we see, the South African military alliance down here be formed. We're going to be using this cross shape to represent it. But the country I'll be joining is going to be this country right here. Like I said earlier in this video, strong, very strong. And obviously the Parallelogram Alliance is the strongest country in Africa. They are also the third strongest alliance in the world, not counting the economical alliances, because if the AEU wasn't an economical alliance and was a military alliance, they would probably just destroy all of the world. But they're also going to be getting this gold country right here to join in the alliance. I don't really know what their political stance is. I actually haven't even looked at the ideology layer. They're a flawed democracy, but that's probably going to be changed very soon. And we're going to see this country here be forced to join on the alliance, despite the fact that South Africa is a dictatorship and they are democratic. They're forced in. So yeah, they're basically just not given a choice, and they're like, South Africa's like, ha, you're going to join our alliance. But anyway, that's enough down there. Let's move on to something else. That's going to be up here in this region, Central Asia, as these three countries are going to be uniting. Now, obviously, this area has never really done anything in history. They've all been very prone to outside influence from obviously like Sweden, Dark Red Union, other countries like Caspia and Russia that was previously the dominant power in this area. But now they will basically just be deciding to put all their differences aside and all unite for the better of their country. And it's going to look like this. Scratch out, they're going to have this colour because I think it looks better. And you notice, what's this area down here that's coloured in white? Well, this is going to be going over to this country here, because this region just wanted to join up with them. They were more of this country's ethnicity, and they decided we don't really want to be part of this big kind of Kazakhstan union here. We'd rather just be joining up with this country, because we are a lot more similar to these guys than we are to these guys. The capital of this country is going to be in this one right here. This was the most populated city of all of it, so they'll just be moving it far over here. And if you notice, two of these countries were dictatorships, but the dictators were kind of like this country, the original democratic one right here, they kind of funded some revolts in this country which got rid of the dictatorships, and they will now be a democratic power. And yes, Central Asia has finally done something in the Civilization series. It took a very long time, but they've officially, like, you know, actually done something. I believe this area has been stagnant since the Middle Age, and that's because, I mean, there's just been nothing going on here. There's been, like, well, Russia kind of blocked a lot of the stuff from going on because they had heavy influence over this area, but at the same time, well, there's just countries, yeah. And South Central Asia, like Persia and these guys right here, they've done loads, so it's kind of weird that the northern part of Central Asia never really got involved. But anyway, that's going to happen, and yeah, let's move on to something else now. And that's going to be a, like, kind of teaming up war between the Californians and the Mexicans against this country here. So, I was recording another war, actually the final proxy war of the Cold War, and my PC decided it would be a really good time to crash. Luckily though, while I was recording that last part of the war, I actually realised that my pausing thing glitched and I was pausing the wrong parts, so I stopped the old recording and I put it into CapCut to see what exactly when the point went wrong. So, I have about half of the recording still recovered, so that's good at least. But nothing much happened in that war. That country was just divided between these two. I completely forgot about the Kazakh Union as well. I mean, it's completely irrelevant, but I did completely forget about it. But anyway, let's get into what the actual final event of the Cold War was between these two countries here. This one dictatorship, this one democracy, supported by Dark Red Union, supported by Sweden. You know the gist by now, and this is the final time we're going to be doing it. So, yay. We have the gold team. Oh, for the third time now, it's done. I realised that there was aliasing things there. But yeah, proxy war, these two. And this gold country instantly is obviously going to do better. They are getting actual backing from, if I get the alliance later on, from the Circle Economical Alliance, which is, well, the only economical alliance in Africa, and the strongest. So yeah, they're doing extremely well on that, and they're going to be able to completely cut their access off from Lake Victoria. And it looks like this country is about to lose. However, there'll be a glimmer of hope as the orange country will propose these guys all join in on the side of the blue country, and every single country will accept. And yeah, the Dark Union is happy about this because they got the Gear Alliance to join in on this war. Obviously the Congo's already in the Square Alliance, and they're also in the Gear Alliance, so they're basically just like well, working with the Dark Union. And we see this country here start to invade into the Congo, or no, into the gold country. And we see a pretty monumental pushback from the blue team down here. They'll be able to push back into Lake Victoria and completely push this country out of their country. We then have the spearhead starting with obviously lots of Dark Red Union troops coming in, and the capital will be captured and the dictator will be arrested, which will result in a complete capitulation. So anyway, let's take a look at the peace treaty. In this peace treaty, the thing that will be changed is simply the ideology, and these guys will now become a democracy. We then later see the blue country down here. They will be joining up with the Gear Alliance within the next coming months, and yeah, the Gear Alliance gets a new member and also wins a pretty big war. Anyway, now for the official final event of the Cold War, that's just the last proxy war, we come down to the siege of Africa and come back to Chad, which if you remember a few episodes ago, they kind of had a war with Nigeria, but they ended up winning. I mean, it was more of a draw because of outside help, but now there's no Dark Red Union is busy with something else, which I'll talk about in a minute, and there's no one else to really save them. So, when the chance is right, Nigeria and the blue team will officially start an invasion. Obviously, it isn't just Egypt doing it. This is obviously their troops coming out from other countries as well, but they'll make an invasion in from the north and take over this region of the country. And then we have Nigeria doing it all in the south, and yeah, the country will simply just be split like that. And peace treaty wise, nothing will change on the borders, but they will become communist. So now we have these guys quickly being added to the parallelogram alliance, and if you notice, communism, like I said, is different than fascism in the way that Neo-Persia, they expanded a lot to grow their own territory. However, Egypt isn't focused on expanding. What they're focused on is growing their ideology across all of Africa, as they one day kind of want to merge it all and basically become the African Empire. They think it's only right that the first country in Africa should be the one to unite it all. They know that they are the second oldest country in the world. They know how they exist. They kind of obviously history now is quite a known thing. And yeah, we now are going to see the final event of the Cold War, and that's actually going to be an update in nuclear numbers. Oh, you can already see where this is going to go wrong, can't you? Just joking, it doesn't have to happen that way. It could happen any other way. We're going to start with the smallest nuclear numbers first. As we come over to Shandong, they're going to go up from 1, and they actually go up to 4, which is it's a decent increase, and yeah, it's quite good. By this point, the nuclear technology is quite public. Most countries in the world have basically publicised how to make nukes, which is not a very good thing. But hey, it happened. Next we go over to Morocco. They will increase from 3, and they will go actually up to 7. So yeah, that's a pretty decent increase. It's not big, but I mean for them it's quite good. Next in Florida, they will also be increasing the nukes. They're now up to 17, which may think, hey, they've finally been out on the Canadian Union. Not really, because the Canadian Union just made more bombs. It turns out it's a lot more bombs. 57. How I said that they kind of publicised all the nukes? Well, not really, and some Floridian spies managed to find out that they had about 20 nukes that nobody knew about. So that's where a lot of those nukes came from, and the Floridians are now like, Anyway, now coming to Egypt. So, the number they'll be going up to is 78 nukes. A lot. I mean, they've gained a lot, but they obviously have no, they don't really care. They, don't really need them, but they just have them because they had a fear at one point that they could end up getting involved in the Cold War, but as you'll see in a second, that's not going to happen. As now we come to the two giants. Let's take a look at Sweden first. Sweden will be going up from a number of 782 to 1,402 nuclear bombs. As you notice, they obviously haven't broken the pact with the Dark Red Union. They haven't put in any more in other territories. Now, before we go to the Dark Red Union, we have to take a look at Mexico, as they've weirdly somehow managed to make 2 nuclear bombs. I don't know how they've done it, but they just have. But yeah, they just say, we're just using these for defense, guys. But now, we come to the Dark Red Union. The player of the Cold War, the strongest country in the world, and the country that every single democracy looks up to and every single monarchy fears. These guys have definitely, they've probably done more brutal things in the Cold War than Sweden, but it's kind of equal. Sweden, they don't really allow, choice for the people, but the Dark Red Union has done more things in other territories, so, yeah. But let's take a look at what their nuclear numbers changed to. The Dark Red Union will go up to 1,534, officially passing Sweden in nuclear numbers for the first time in a long time. But you may notice something. They had 15 nukes in other territories before, but now it's gone up to 17. Where have those 17 nukes gone? Spain will declare they don't have any. Italy will declare they don't have any. Tunisia will declare they don't have any. And every other ally of the Dark Union will declare they don't have any, except for one. Now this country doesn't publicly announce they do. They simply do not, they don't really comment on the issue. And that country will be one that has done stuff in the past, that signed a treaty saying they would never ever take any nuclear bombs from any other countries or make their own nuclear bombs. They've just gone against 2 treaties. That country is the Germans. The Germans were given 2 nuclear bombs by the Dark Red Union on the 18th of March 1977. Sweden didn't find out about this until the 21st. They found out through a few spy operations, and eventually they came to the definite conclusion that it was Germany having these nukes. And they are extremely angry because not only have 2 treaties been broken here, but Sweden, they actually had trust in the Dark Union, and the relations were sort of starting to be repaired. Sweden isn't really angry at this, but they are just simply disappointed. However, there is one thing that Sweden is really just scared about, and that is the fact that, I mean, hey, if they put it in a country like Hungary, who was also signed that pact, it wouldn't be too big of a deal. They don't actually border Hungary. However, the Swedish border Germany directly, and one of their generals kind of has a theory. The theory that with 2 nuclear bombs, the Dark Union could once bomb Copenhagen right here, which is the straight to the entrance of the Baltic Sea, and also the capital of Hungary, very quickly and quickly undetected. A few weeks will go by with no response from Sweden, but eventually they will say that this is an interference on their sovereignty. And they will say that they are starting a special operation into the Germans, not to declare war on the Dark Union, but simply to remove the nukes from their territory, and they'll probably, probably keep them. So the Swedish will officially send troops into Germany. They'll send troops all over the place, and eventually they'll capture the location where the nukes are, secure the nukes are, and they'll send them back to the main nuclear laboratory up here, right in this region, and they'll do tests on them to see what's happening, And Germany will very quickly fall to the might of Sweden. They have never been, obviously, not even the same Germany as World War II. Not only this, but also the allies of the Dark Union, or the allies of Sweden, will start to invade into this German country. And 3 days later, the Dark Union will say that this is an act of war, and they say they are serious this time, no more messing around. As on the 1st of April 1977, the Dark Red Union will officially declare war on Sweden and their allies, and they will be quickly followed by the Square Alliance, who will then declare war on the Star Alliance. So now we officially have World War III. This war will be the biggest and most complex war we've yet had in this series, and I'll talk a little bit more about the information and the kind of stuff about this war in the next episode, and we'll also be looking at the first part of it. Yes, this war will be a 2-parter. But anyway, I'm going to thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I'll see you in the next one, where we will officially see the start of World War III, also known as the War of Influence. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.